Here too. All right, cool. Welcome to the Hasch Q&A. Let me just turn this down. Just a brief introduction. My name is Matt, and I'm one of the team members behind the Hasch project. To give a bit of a team intro as well, there are 6 of us currently actively working on the project, and we're all locally based here in Australia. We all work on the overall direction of Hasch, but we all have our own, specialties that we're all assigned to. And so for me, I specialize in design and social media. So in this short session, I'm just going to be scrolling through the Discord Q&A channel, answering as many questions as I can, which will then be followed up by an opportunity for you guys to come up on stage if you have any suggestions or questions. Otherwise, if not, we'll just end it there. And then at the end, we're going to give away a Hasch ID just to say thanks for tuning in, pretty much. And just before we begin, I just need to say I won't be able to answer every question, as a great deal of Hasch project is the mystery. I guess the exploration and like cross-pollination between you guys of secrets amongst yourselves. So I've got to leave some of it to mystery. And likewise for team and timeline related questions, everything is subject to change, but I'll do my very best to inform you guys of and the prospective holders what's up. So here we go. Let me just get the channel open here. Q&A questions. Starting from the very top, Hash Danger said, do I get anything if I change my legal name to Hash? I think you need to DM us for that one. GodofThunder.eth said, am I going to make it? I just thought I'd throw this one in here because he's not actually in the server anymore, so I don't think he's going to make it, unfortunately. Somebody asked how they can join the Alpha faction leaders. So you can't actually become an Alpha faction leader at the moment. That was for our Stage 0 participating players only. Later on in the game, when we open up factions to the greater community, you'll be able to be promoted within your faction. But you'll only be able to actually gain that Alpha status again later on. So if you missed out this first time, I'm sorry, you can't get in at the moment, but later on, there might be a chance for you to do so. What else we got here? McInlaw, sorry if that's not how you say your name, asks about the team. And just to go over briefly what I said earlier, there are 6 of us, and just to go just off the top of my head, what we all do, we have our director, game master, and also Solidity developer. We've got a social media manager. We have a 3D artist and game developer. We have a graphic designer and like NFT artist. And then we've got business development manager and an amazing web developer. So that is an overview of the team. Crypto Slow asks, with the token launch, will it initially only be able to be earned through gameplay, liquidity event, or is the team bootstrapping liquidity on Uni through game funds? This is still very much a work in progress. The token is something we want to do right because we want to link this into the DAO, which I'll chat about later. But the token isn't planned for at least the first half of season 1. We might see it in the second half. Otherwise, it may only be introduced in the second season. So I wouldn't hold your breath on the token, but in terms of how it will be available, yeah, we're going to make sure if we did any sort of ICO that our players get first access to it, both through their interaction in the actual game and also through other means if they want to purchase more, for example, not just RNG. Is there a schedule of when I need to be available for games? Payman K asks. No, there is not currently a schedule. We're going to do our best to schedule games around about the weekend, just because that's when people usually are free. But they could be during the week. But all we do say is we're going to try and give players at least 24 hours notice before any sort of game round begins. So we're not just going to spring it upon you and say, yep, it's up in 1 hour, and if you don't, you're getting eliminated. We think that'd be a little silly, and it would mean only the, I guess, die-hard people who are sitting at their computer all day, every day would actually be able to have a chance. So, yeah, there's not a schedule, but rest assured, we'll give you plenty of time and plenty of notice. Payman K also follows that up with, can I tell my wife about this? Absolutely not. Payman, I'm sorry. Let's see what else we got. Zishan asks, when will minting phase begin? Minting phase for the public release is currently scheduled for the 7th of November. So that's pretty much 2 weeks from now. We're just giving time for the market to cool off because, as you can see from pretty much all your favorite NFT projects, everything is in the ditch because ETH is pumping so hard, so everyone's liquidating. So we're just giving it some time to cool off, but we don't want to leave it too long, otherwise the project will die, people lose interest. So in 2 weeks' time is when we're scheduled, and in the lead up to that public mint, we're going to be ramping up our promotion, our Twitter activity, giveaways, things like that, just to get as many more players as are interested in on Hasch project, pretty much. Furthermore, Indigo asks another question: what kind of skills will we need to win? This is an interesting one. So, what we, I guess, envisage for Hasch is for it to be very much a decentralized game in every sense of the word. So we want it to be disassociated from any traditional mediums. We want it to not just be able to be won by one type of user. So just off the top of my head, you need to obviously have some problem solving skills. You need to be good with community, or rather like making friends, getting info from people, getting people on your side. You also might want to be good at certain games. You also might want to be prepared to do things in real life challenges. We might have to take a photo of something, or some sort of art project or something like that. We really want Hasch project to be so widespread that it's unlike anything else that's out there. That as the seasons progress, season 1 might be, let's say we have a few thousand people. The season 2 might have more than that and more. And we can just imagine this being a really enjoyable, I guess, social experiment and experience for a whole bunch of people where we're all on Twitter trying to figure out what the next round is, how we can pass and not get eliminated, and hopefully earn some sweet rewards along the way. So what skills do you need? You'll have to find out, but it's not going to be skewed towards one particular skill. Don't worry about that. We also got, moving forward, what kind of incentives for social engagement can we expect from the project? This is a bit of a tricky one, but just off the top of my head, we're planning obviously giveaways, which I'm sure you've seen, and really relying on that organic growth. But in terms of social engagement, we really want to encourage people to do their part, and if they like the project, to share what they like about the project online. So we're going to make sure that we have a certain amount of Hasch relics set aside just for these people in our community who are really shining bright and helping it move along to where we want it to be, fully decentralized, however many seasons in it takes to do that. So if you could imagine, we might have like a certain trait type that's associated with people that have social influence, and we'll be giving those directly to people who really help out the community. Putin asks, do you like pineapple on pizza? No, unfortunately. Sorry. That's just me. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through the chat here, guys. People were chatting about roles a little while back. Roles are currently closed. The only roles you can get is if you purchase a Hasch NFT and you head to the role verification channel and hit !join. You can get your verified player or VIP role if you own 10. That is for VIP. But the faction roles are currently closed, but we'll be reopening that close to the public mint so that everybody can choose their teams who's coming in. How much time do we have for mint? You'll have, well, for the public mint, what we're going to do is only open it for a limited time. We are still in discussion of how long this is going to be open for, but somewhere in between, 8 to 24 hours is what we're thinking. Not a long time to mint. We want to just allow one more wave of players in, and then that'll be it. And after that, then that's when the game will begin. And maybe not too long after that. So we think that if we left it open-ended and we didn't reach the 10,000 mint straight away, that wouldn't be good for our players. So instead, we actually have a number of game scenarios already planned out. We actually had it all the way as little as 100 players. Hasch game would be playable with only 100 people, but it scales up and down depending on how big the game is. It just means bigger rewards the more amount of people there are, but there'll be plenty of games and opportunities to have, even if we, for example, only launch the game with the current NFTs that are out there. The mint cap is 10,000 total. So we have, I think last time I checked, around 1,600 minted currently, just from the whitelist mint, which was amazing. Thank you guys. But the total mint will be 10,000 capped. And somebody asked, what is VIP for? Do I need it to win? First of all, let me just say, if you have not read the Hasch paper, which is linked in Discord under official links, please make sure you have a read of that. It is quite a lengthy document, so I understand people who haven't read all of it. We also have an instructional video on just, I guess, the overall concepts. I think it's maybe 2 minutes max. Oh no, it's 1 minute, sorry, on our Twitter in the pinned tweet. But what is VIP for? VIP is just a way we want to reward our holders who hold enough to have their own team. So a rough team size that we have is 10. And if you hold 10 player IDs, well, then you have your own team. So we class you as a VIP. And VIPs will get exclusive little sneak peeks in the VIP channel. So I guess, advanced warning or little hints of games coming up so they can plan amongst themselves. And VIPs are free to do whatever they want with the information. If people leak that, that's up to them. But yeah, we're just going to be dropping, I guess, hints in there for those VIPs. And they also get a shiny roll to go along with it. Somebody asks, what happens if the public mint does not sell out? Does the game still begin? So as I touched on briefly before, if the public mint does not sell out within the window, the game will still commence, but we are not commencing the game as soon as the public mint ends. So we're going to have a cool off and planning period of just a couple weeks after the public mint is closed, which will allow for secondary sales to sort of settle, new people to enter the space if they miss the public mint. People can make some trades on their NFTs if they'd like. And we also need to, take into account how many players are actually in the game to, I guess, scale whatever games we decide to roll with, because each level is completely different to the last. And so let's say we have 2,000 people in for round one. The game's going to look a lot different than if it had 10,000 people in for round one. So yeah. What will the game rounds be? Again, touched on this before, but game rounds could be anything from an online web app where you might have to enter some information, you might have to review a video or a series of videos and figure out a clue. You might have to follow, I guess, a trail of breadcrumbs of clues in Discord or Twitter. It might be a text adventure in your browser. We have to, choose the right decisions to get to the end. It could be a treasure hunt in a metaverse game, or maybe it's a puzzle game that leads to you having to make a free account on a metaverse and reach a destination where you'll find a code and enter it in. So the game is going to be, quite expansive, where we're gonna make you work for it. What is the difference between teams and factions? Somebody asks. So Simply put, factions are basically, I guess, more thematically in the game. So these are our 4 icons that I'm sure you've seen everywhere: the eye, the hand, the heart, and the brain. And so these groups will more or less affect the game within their factions. So, for example, let's say at the start of round 1, the I faction might get into their private Discord channel. What order would you like the teams to play in the next round? And they decide amongst themselves. They've only got a few hints, and so they are affecting the game within their faction. And so you have to, obviously, in a democratic way, decide amongst yourselves, what order the next round will be played at. Basic decisions like that will affect the game, without it being obviously, too biased or unfair. We won't just flat out let a faction rule who's eliminated or whatever. So factions affect the game. However, teams is what we encourage people to form amongst themselves. So, for example, communities could form a team. So, let's say the Bored Apes might form a Bored Ape Hasch team where people can join that, and they might have their own Discord for that, where they chat strategy and clues of upcoming rounds and help each other out, which means that teams can have people from multiple different factions. And that's the way we designed it, so that you can be playing with your friends even if you're not in the same faction. And at the moment, there isn't an official team mechanic. However, we're looking at building a little tool or using a pre-existing tool online where you can basically put in either your Ethereum address or your player IDs and formulate a team online in obviously like an automated manner, which would be pretty cool. When is the Hasch UE5 game out? This is a pretty big project. So we do have a pretty amazing team working on this currently. But this is more something we see as, I guess, an added benefit that we want to release to our holders to say thank you for holding on to our NFTs, where only people that hold the Hasch IDs will be able to play the game. But having said that, depending on how quickly that development progresses, at later stages, let's say we're down to the final 100, final 50, final 10, there is, chat about making that a multiplayer game where you can actually, we can use that for elimination for final rounds, which would be pretty cool to see that in that sort of cool 3D facility type space. But yeah, we are building that out currently, so that is definitely a work in progress. We don't have a release date on that as yet. You mentioned a DAO. Can you tell us more about that? Simply put, we've currently got 6 of us working on this at the moment, and that's great. But the long term, as I've said before, we see this as a really cool social experiment that could reach a whole bunch of people and change season to season. And we don't think that should just lie in our hands and, be our responsibility. So we really do see the future of Hasch being a really amazing decentralized community of game makers, builders, where different factions and team members would be creating different levels and deciding the fate of the rest of the game in a really, fair voting system where rewards are paid out to different groups and winners and artists and things like that. So yeah, that it's still a work in progress, but that is our long-term goal, to make Hasch project into a DAO. Well, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for you guys who've tuned in live. We do have a lot of people that couldn't make it live, but that are tuning in, obviously, from the recording. So we'll have that posted up on Twitter and YouTube, things like that. So thank you again. Please post any follow-up questions in the Q&A channel on Discord, and we'll respond by text message in the Discord. We might do another session of these if you guys found this helpful, maybe in another week or 2 leading up to the public mint. But until then, thanks so much, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
I require the solace of the shadows. and the dark of the night. Sunshine is my destroyer. There shall never be another dawn.